What up with the YouTube world? You in the house with your boy Chin Checker. It feels good to be back. I haven't did a video in a couple of weeks, been working on this record label, but I'm not going to do too much talking. You're going to want to stay to the end because I got a big announcement at the end, but we're going to get right into this reaction video. These cops are off the chain. This is a video somebody sent me. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. All right, you in the house with Chin Checker, the body wrecker. Peace. Let's get into it.
Below and give them the credit that they deserve.
Shout out to
After 7:30 p.m. on October 27th, 2018, Officer Justin Augustine of the Piqua Police Department in Piqua, Ohio, contacted Lieutenant Rick Byron by radio and requested that he meet him behind a local government building. According to a crash report completed by Lieutenant Byron, when he arrived at the location, he found that Officer Augustine had hit a parked flatbed semi-trailer with his patrol vehicle, causing significant damage to the passenger side of the cruiser and breaking the windshield and both passenger side door windows. Officer Augustine then informed Lieutenant Byron that he crashed his vehicle while he was attempting to park his vehicle so he could urinate on the side of the building. Officer Augustine was on duty at the time the accident occurred.
That's crazy.
According to Lieutenant Byron's report, while at the scene of the crash, he observed Officer Augustine drop a handcuff key on the ground and fall forward while attempting to bend over and pick it up. Officer Christopher Yinkst, who was on the scene when Lieutenant Byron arrived because Officer Augustine requested him to meet him there, took Officer Augustine back to the station while Lieutenant Byron stayed to process the accident and wait for a tow truck to arrive. However, Officer Yinkst shortly returned to the scene of the crash and requested that Lieutenant Byron return to the station to deal with Officer Augustine, as he appeared to be impaired and was demonstrating odd behavior, such as hugging and kissing other officers and telling them that he loved them. The interaction that occurred when Lieutenant Byron arrived at the police station was captured on his body-worn camera.
You're the one who made that mistake, so don't come in and say, Augie, you're the one who made that mistake. He needs to... Yeah, Augie, come here. Let's go out here in the garage. We got to put your weapons away. Come out here, we'll talk. You'll be all right. The car's just being taken to the lumpkins. We got to put your weapons away. Here, let me have a second, unload it. Here, go in here. So we can put this away. When you total a vehicle, you got to go down for a drug and alcohol assessment. Everybody that wrecks a cruiser that totals it has to go down there. So what we do is just take your taser off of you, and we're going to go down and do a drug and alcohol test down at the hospital, you and I. Are you all right, Augie? Yeah. You seem... your focus seems divided on me. What's going on? You just nervous?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you under the influence of anything, Augie?
I'm done.
What's going on, though? Tell me what's going on, bud.
I'm done.
What do you mean you're done? You're going to go with me to take the test, Augie? You're refusing it? You don't want to do that. Are you under the influence of something, Augie? What's wrong with you right now? I don't understand that.
I'm done.
Okay.
You're done.
Are you going with me?
No.
What are you going to do?
I'm going home.
Can you call somebody to come get you?
I don't need to.
Well, I'm not going to let you drive. Seriously, Augie, can you call your wife?
I can drive by.
Okay. All right, let's go out here. If you want to be done, I understand that. So if you want to leave, that's up to you. Do you have your keys here? I'm not taking it, okay? So, Augie, are you okay to drive, brother?
Yeah.
I know you're not going to let him drive.
All right, well, get going then. Do what you got to do, all right?
Oh, my goodness.
Right, Augie, you just wrecked a cruiser. It's not the end of the world. I know, it's not the end of the world. We can do this, Augie. If you just go down and take the test like we're asking you, if you do that, then we can at least get that cleared to where you can come back to work. Seriously, Augie, I'm trying to help you, bud. Huh? What'd you say? What do you mean you're up? Alcohol? Pills? What are you talking about? Huh? So I can't let you drive home, all right?
Man, please don't let him drive.
Yeah, I can.
You said you're up. How are you going to drive home?
I'm not up like up. I'm up.
Help me understand, Justin.
Do not let this man
You're talking
drive.
about just in the head?
You.
Huh? What have I done to you for you to do me like that, man? Seriously. I didn't wreck the cruiser in there and then have to ask you to come to take the test. I get that. You're having a tough time right now with everything that's going on, bud. But it doesn't have to go out like this, okay? It's just an accident.
But what do I do?
What do you mean, what do you do? What do you do?
If it's just an accident, what do I do?
You hit a semi-trailer, so again, as part of our policy, we have to go down with that and go take the test.
I'm drunk.
Huh?
I'm drunk.
You're drunk right now?
Yeah.
No, I've been drunk.
Been drunk when? Today?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think you are now?
No.
Okay.
Officer Augustine admits that he was drunk earlier that day, but claims that he is not currently intoxicated. Section
Wow.
4511.19 of the Ohio Revised Code, which codifies the offense of operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or OVI, states that, quote, no person shall operate any vehicle within this state if, at the time of the operation, the person is under the influence of alcohol, a drug of abuse, or a combination of them. The OVI
Okay,
statute also
DUI.
prohibits operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.0. The court also discussed other factors that may support probable cause for an OVI arrest, including slurred speech and fumbling through paperwork. Here, Officer Augustine demonstrated many signs of intoxication, including loss of coordination, fumbling, and erratic and emotional behavior. And Lieutenant Byron noted in his report on the incident that, quote, Officer Augustine's speech was slow and slurred, and, now quoting again, Officer Augustine's breath had a faint, fruity alcohol smell to it. When combined with the nature of the crash he was involved in and his admission to being drunk earlier in the day, it is almost certain that a court would find that Lieutenant Byron had probable cause to arrest Officer Augustine.
Exactly.
on
Why he's
suspicion of
not
OVI,
under arrest.
even without any breathalyzer or field sobriety testing.
Do you have your driver's license on you, or is it at home? You don't have it on you? Okay. I got to read the test and refusal consequences to him, so I just need a witness. It says you're now under arrest for OVI, operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol and a drug or a combination of them. If you have a commercial driver's license and refuse to submit to the test or test, you will immediately be placed out of service for 24 hours. You will be disqualified from operating a commercial motor vehicle for a period of not less than 1 year, and you will be required to surrender your commercial driver's license to me. And if you refuse a test, take a chemical test, you will face increased penalties if you subsequently are convicted of the state OVI. Okay, you know how it works. I just need you to sign right there stating that that was read to you.
Uh-oh.
And it is your position that you want to refuse the test, correct? Okay. Let me go fill out the form here. Not going to be any citations issued or anything like that today. We'll just get the form filled out, get you a copy of it, and
what, let him go?
We'll get you out, okay?
Okay. Let
Or
him
you can
go.
leave.
No bail.
So just sit tight. Hang it out in here with him just to make sure he's okay if he needs to ask any questions or anything.
Man.
My body camera's on still.
Yeah, my body camera.
Don't let him out. He brought that in here. I know. He took it out of his cruiser.
Don't let him out. What they whispering for? My body cam's on.
Yeah, I'm in here. I'm just filling out the 2255 form in here because I got all his information. Yeah, I read it to him. He's refusing. So, if it's okay with you, I'm not going to issue a citation right now. I'll write it out later and do what I
What?
got to do.
Do what you gotta do.
Or how do you want that done?
No, we'll treat it like a normal
Okay.
OVI.
Can you give me a traffic ticket, please?
Does he have his gun on?
I got his gun away from him, his handgun, and he had a taser on him. I took that away from him
Man,
because he was
thank
telling
God.
me he was going home.
Okay.
And I told him he wasn't driving.
Your response to 1250
Get
Carberry,
his badge and his keys to
1250
him.
Carberry, apartment number
I can
1.
do that. Bruce is coming in.
To talk to him?
He's probably going to order him to do an admin blood draw after you guys are done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, take his blood. Oh, he's not gonna do that.
Lieutenant Byron informs Officer Augustine that because he is refusing an alcohol test, he needs to process a quote-unquote 2255. Lieutenant Byron seems to be referring to Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles Form 2255, which is a Report of Law Enforcement Officer Administrative License Suspension. Under
okay.
Ohio law, an arresting officer has the legal authority to immediately suspend the driver's license of an individual who has been arrested for DUI and refuses to take a chemical alcohol test, which
okay.
is known as an
They're gonna suspend his license.
suspension. According to section 4511.191 of the Ohio Revised Code, quote, any person who operates a vehicle within this state shall be deemed to have given consent to a chemical test or tests of the person's whole blood serum or plasma, breath, or urine to determine the
plasma.
alcohol content if they are arrested based on probable cause for an OVI offense. Likewise, section 4511.192 of the Revised Code states that, quote, the person must submit to the chemical test or tests subsequent to the request of the the arresting officer within 2 hours of the time of the alleged violation. And if the person does not submit to the test or tests within that 2-hour time limit, the failure to submit automatically constitutes a refusal to submit to the test or tests. This statute also requires that if an individual refuses chemical testing, the officer must notify the driver that their license is suspended immediately, that the suspension will last at least until the person's initial appearance on the charge, which will be held within 5 days after the date of the person's arrest or the issuance of a citation to the person, and that the person may appeal the suspension at the initial appearance or during the period of time ending 30 days after that initial appearance. As part of the administrative license suspension process, the officer also completes Form 2255 and sends it to the Registrar of Motor Vehicles. Here, Officer Augustine's refusal to submit to chemical alcohol testing likely violated Ohio law and would be sufficient to trigger an administrative license suspension, although it is somewhat unclear if and when he was, quote-unquote, arrested.
It doesn't matter, to be honest with you, so let's not fight over it, because he was threatening me out there. His behavior was...
Oh, really?
Is totally insubordinate.
Okay.
Insubordinate.
Yes, can you give me the RC sections for the OBI refusal? So it's 45...
1119 A1A.
do you want me to charge him with reasonable control on private property, or just let that go? Is Bruce coming in?
Yes.
So I'll wait to serve all this when he gets here? Probably be better to do it all at once.
Yeah. He's not free to leave until Bruce is done.
Ooh, he can't leave. He's being detained.
If he refused, he'd just be terminated.
Oh, did you hear that? Didn't have a wallet or anything on him?
I wasn't getting a lot of cooperation, so I did
Alright,
press
we'll
it.
ask him again.
You know, it wasn't like normal when you arrest somebody and pat them down. So.
Lieutenant Byron's supervisor informs him that Bruce, presumably referring to Piqua Police Chief Bruce Jameson, is coming in and that he's going to order a blood draw. Under Section 4511.191 of the Ohio Revised Code, quote, if a person refuses to submit to a chemical test, the law enforcement officer who made the request may employ whatever reasonable means are necessary to ensure that the person submits to a chemical test of the person's whole blood or blood serum or plasma. The statute also states that, now quoting again, a law enforcement officer who acts pursuant to this division to ensure that a person submits to a chemical test of the person's whole blood or blood serum or plasma is immune from criminal and civil liability based upon a claim for assault and battery or any other claim for the acts, unless the officer so acted with malicious purpose, in bad faith, or in a wanton or reckless manner. In other words, officers have the authority under this statute to conduct a non-consensual blood draw if an individual who has been arrested for OVI refuses chemical testing.
So they can take your blood?
It is important to note that in the 2016 case of Birchfield versus North Dakota, the Supreme Court held that, quote, the Fourth Amendment allows warrantless breath tests, but as a general rule does not allow warrantless blood draws incident to a lawful drunk driving.
So they can't take your blood.
As such, officers are typically required to get a warrant in order to perform a blood draw without an individual's consent. Now, in explaining why blood tests require a warrant when breath tests do not, the court reasoned that, quote, blood tests are a different matter. They require piercing the skin and extracting part of the subject's body. And while humans exhale air from their lungs many times per minute, humans do not continually shed blood. The court also noted that the taking of a blood sample was, quote, significantly more intrusive than blowing into a tube, and that, unlike a breath test, a blood test gives law enforcement authorities a preservable sample that can be used to extract information beyond a POC reading. Accordingly, if Officer Augustine continued to refuse to participate in breath or urine testing, the officers could likely conduct a blood draw, even without Officer Augustine's consent, as long as they first obtained a warrant.
Okay. They can't just take your blood without a warrant. But with that warrant, they can take your sample. DNA.
Can you look at me, bud? Justin, here's the DMV 2255 form for the refusal. Since we had so much time, I went ahead and wrote the citation out. The citation is going to be for the OVI refusal, and then just reasonable control on private property. So here's your copy of the 2255 form. If you'll just sign right here, get a copy of that. Your wife's still on the way, she's not here yet.
Okay, Justin. That concludes the criminal. Now I'm starting the administrative repercussions.
Ooh,
repercussions. To understand what I'm going to do is assign Deputy Chief Preston as the internal affairs investigator. Right now, you're going to have to make some decisions. I'm ordering you to do testing, and do you understand why I have reasonable suspicion to do that? Okay. You're required to do it, but of course, it's not like we're going to hold you down and make you. So my question to you now is, what you have to do is sign a form at the ER before the testing that you would release the results of the test to the police department, and you would get your own copy as well. If you refuse to sign that form, then that would be considered insubordination and you'd be subject to disciplinary action. It's still your option to do that, and I'd like to know if that's what your intention would be before we brought it
Insubordination.
to the emergency room. You only have a little bit of time because we're on a 2-hour period that we're trying for. So with all that in mind, would you submit and authorize release of, okay, at the ER? So you're placing you on administrative leave. Do you want us to try to get an attorney or a union rep? You are
Don't cry now.
You're a union rep right now. Okay. Okay, so then we'll try to get this done as quickly as we can, get you home, and then you need to start working on stuff, my friend.
Justin, we don't want you falling out of the seat, so that's why he's holding on to your shoulder.
Don't cry now.
After Officer Augustine was arrested, officers found a 4 Loco gold can in the driver's door of his personal vehicle at the police station.
not
They
4
also
Loco.
located a can of the same alcoholic beverage near the crash scene. Officer
Wow.
Augustine was
Isn't that malt
initially placed
liquor?
on paid administrative leave while the department conducted an internal investigation, but he resigned on November 1st, 2018, just a few days after his October 27th arrest when criminal charges were filed. Officer Augustine was charged with OVI, operating a vehicle without being in reasonable control, and improper handling of firearms in a motor vehicle, which is a felony offense. And on December 5th, 2018, as part of a plea bargain, he pled guilty to reduced charges of having physical control of a vehicle while under the influence and using a weapon while under the influence. He was sentenced to 1 year of probation with 177 days of suspended jail time, a $300 fine and court costs, plus an additional 3 days in jail, which were dismissed after completion of a weekend alcohol educational program. Officer Augustine was also ordered to continue counseling with the Miami County Recovery Council and undergo a mental health evaluation, and his driver's license was suspended for 40 days. Overall, Lieutenant Byron gets an F, because although he did prevent Officer Augustine from driving and eventually arrested him, he only did so after a superior officer ordered him to.
Yes.
Lieutenant Byron originally seemed to be willing to allow Officer Augustine to drive home, even after he crashed his police vehicle and demonstrated multiple obvious signs of intoxication.
Exactly.
While Lieutenant Byron did stop Officer Augustine from driving after he admitted to drinking, I believe it was clear that Officer Augustine was intoxicated long before he made this admission, and this leads me to believe that Lieutenant Byron was more motivated by shielding himself from liability than by protecting the public from a dangerously intoxicated driver in this decision. Even after he prevented Officer Augustine from leaving, Lieutenant Byron seemed to intend to let Officer Augustine go home with his wife without filing any charges, until his supervisor informed him that he needed to process it as an OVI, and was not planning to issue a citation until his supervising officer ordered him to treat it like a quote-unquote normal OVI. I understand that Lieutenant Byron was in an uncomfortable position, and while he clearly had feelings of affection for Officer Augustine, he failed to demonstrate the level of impartial integrity that is necessary for the fair administration of the law.
Yes.
Any other clearly intoxicated individual who was involved in an accident like Officer Augustine's would almost certainly have been arrested on the scene of the crash.
Yes.
The undeniable favoritism shown in this situation by Lieutenant Byron is inexcusable. Officer Augustine also gets an F for becoming excessively intoxicated while on
Yes.
duty, driving his police cruiser while in a dangerously impaired state, and crashing his vehicle while attempting to park and urinate on the side of a building. Although it is challenging to assign an accurate grade to the behavior of an individual who is under the influence of alcohol, Officer Augustine made the conscious decision to consume alcohol while on duty, and as a result, he became a threat to the community he had sworn to protect. This sort of unprofessional and dangerous behavior is clearly unacceptable conduct from a police officer, and several officers were required to devote hours of their time at work to handling Officer Augustine instead of serving the community. That being said, I do hope that Officer Augustine has been able to get whatever help he needs, and that he has learned from his mistakes when it comes to alcohol consumption. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.
So there you have it, YouTube. Shout out to Audit the Audit. Man, this cop was out of his mind. And the cop that processed him, he was about to let this guy go. Go home, let him drive home after totaling out a police cruiser? Come on now. I want to hear the comments on this one, man. It's crazy. This guy was on duty, drunk, on Four Loko. Isn't that some kind of malt liquor? Whatever, I'm not going to judge him for that, but man, you professionals supposed to be held accountable for your job. Leave a comment, leave a like. Once again, this is Chin Checker and a reaction video. And the good news we have is Exquisite Mackin Entertainment is official. We have a distribution deal with Universal Music Group, so we're looking for artists. Send those emails, leave a comment, tell me what you think about the video, and we're looking for female singers. All right, peace out. God bless. All right. Leave a comment. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. All right. Peace.